Hi everyone, welcome back to Escobar. Today in this tutorial, we are going to learn how to perform data-driven testing in Behave using an Excel file. Instead of hard-coding test data inside feature files, we will fetch data directly from Excel, making our test more flexible, reusable, and easier to maintain. This approach is especially useful when dealing with login credentials, form validations, or multiple test scenarios that require different inputs. So let's begin. Open Chrome browser and search Open PY Excel. Install this package. Click on Copy. Open PyCharm. Click on Terminal and enter this command here. Pip install Open PY Excel. First install this package. Then click on Enter. You can upgrade python.exe -m pip install for upgrade pip. Now, second step, create environment file. Click on feature and new. Click on Python. Enter here environment and then click on Python file. First, import the Open EYXL library to work with Excel. Import Open EYXL. Now, find here def before underscore all context. This special behave hook runs once before all the test. Now define the Excel sheet at here workbook is equal to open py Excel dot load workbook and then enter file name here. You need to enter file name here. I have already created one file in which enter username and password. You need to save this file in Excel format as you can view here. First column is username and second one is password. In username define username and here define password. This is second user and this is password for second user. We have total 2 credentials. Make sure you save this file in Excel format. Now we need to enter path. So here click on properties and copy this complete path. Enter here. Need to enter here slash, same as well, enter here slash, and then enter file name with extension slash data dot xlx. We need to define here complete path. Now get the active worksheet. First get the sheet. Sheet is equal to workbook dot active. First get the sheet and create an empty list to store all user data rows. We need to store all data in a list. So here we will write context dot users is equal to and break here. Now read the first row as you can do here. In first row we need to ignore this and read the data from second row. Read spaces here, same as we need to add a space here and enter a space here. Now read the first row. We need to read first row headers is equal to cell dot value for cell in sheet 1. Now use the loop through each row starting from row 2. We need to read data from second row. So here we will use loop for row in sheet dot iteration underscore rows and define here minimum row minimum underscore row is equal to 2 and minimum and define value true because we need to read the data from this cell in which data is exists. So minimum underscore row is equal to value underscore only is equal to true. Get the cell value we are using here for getting the cell value. Now combines headers with row values in a dictionary data is equal to dictionary zip header and row. Change here value underscore only to values because we have multiples values. So values underscore only is equal to true. Now, next thing we need to do here, add this dictionary into context dot users so it can be used in step file. Context dot users dot append data. Now, write feature file. Open this feature file. You can create this file. Just right click here, file, and enter file name with extension dot feature. Feature is login functionality with Excel data, and scenario is login using credentials credentials from Excel. Login using credentials from Excel. Given I open the login page when I open when I login with users from Excel. Now write the step for this scenario. Open this login underscore step, this file. In previous tutorial, I have explained in a detail how you can write the step. For now, import when then from behave import and import given when and them. We need to import given when then for writing step and import WebDriver for opening browser from Selenium. Import WebDriver and import by from Selenium dot WebDriver dot common dot by and import by. Let's add some bit here for add delays in our script so you can better understand import time and define base underscore URL. First define base URL. Open Chrome browser. Open this URL. Open PyCharm and enter base URL. First define base URL at the rate even and write step. You can view here in feature file. We write I open login page. First define step for I open the login page. Def step underscore open underscore login context. First initialize WebDriver context dot driver is equal to WebDriver dot. Here you can view multiple browsers, Chrome, Firefox, Edge, multiple browsers here available for now. Click on Chrome, initialize WebDriver and maximize the window. After opening Chrome browser, you need to maximize the window. So here we will write context.driver dot maximize window context dot driver dot get and base URL. As you can view here, we define base URL is equal to practice automation. This is base URL. Now we have successfully write for I open the login page steps. Next thing we need to do, write the step for I login with user from Excel at the rate when enter with double quote. Copy this one. Enter here. I login with user from Excel and define a step here. Def step underscore login underscore Excel context. Now use loop here for load the data from Excel file for user in context dot users. Define here URL. As you can view here, we define base URL for each user login. We need to navigate to the base URL context dot driver dot get and base URL. Remove spaces from here, otherwise we will get error. Now define here username and password. User name is equal to user, and here in Excel file you can view first row is user and the second column is password. So here we will define user double quote username and then define here password. Enter here bracket username and password. Password is equal to user round bracket and enter password. Remove spaces from here, otherwise we will get an error. Now next thing we need to do here, define locators for locating element. Define must locator for username and password. Username underscore locator is equal to by dot. Let's see how we can locate this element. Right click here, inspect, and here we can locate by name and ID. ID is username, so we can locate this element by ID. Enter here dot ID and then enter value, which is username. Now define locator here. Password underscore locator is equal to by dot I and then enter the value for password. Right click here. Here we can locate by name as well ID. Copy this ID. Enter ID here. After enter username and password, we need to click on submit button. So here we can locate this element by ID and ID value is submit. Login underscore button underscore locator is equal to by dot ID. Enter ID here. After enter the username password, click on the submit button and add some weight here. Time dot slip 2. Now use this variable which is username underscore locator, password underscore locator, and use send keys for enter username and password. Here we just define locators. Context dot driver dot find underscore element steric. Here we two values. One is by dot ID and username. So we need to use here steric username underscore locator dot send underscore keys and username. Same for password. We need enter here context dot driver dot find element static and password underscore locator dot set underscore keys and password. Now we have successfully write script for writing username and password. Now you need to click on submit button. Context dot driver dot find element stack login button locator dot click. Here you click method for clicking on the submit button. Add some weight here after clicking on submit button. Time dot slip 2. Now we can run the test. We just define here data in username password. Here we have two credentials. One is valid and second is wrong credentials. In environment we define here path for read the data, and here we define minimum row is equal to, because we want to read the data from second row, ignore first row. And then here we define feature login functionality with Excel data and use this scenario in step file. Here we define base URL, maximize the window, base URL, username and password. This is locators for username, password and submit button. And this is the wait for adding some delays in our script, and click on the submit button after enter the username and password. For running this test, enter behave features and then enter slash, write this file name which is login dot feature. Here write features login dot feature with extension. Now test is running. You can view here using runner behave. Given I open the login page and then maximize the window. Page open successfully. Navigate to the URL and then enter username and password. You can view here test login, enter username and password. Now it will log in with invalid credentials. You can view here your username is invalid, and this all the steps you can view: one feature pass, one scenario pass, two step passed, zero skipped. So that's how you can implement data driven testing in Behave with Excel files. By reading test data from Excel, we can easily scale our automation, reduce redundancy, and keep data separate from test logic. If this video helped you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more tutorials on Behave, Selenium, and test automation. And also let me know in the comment if you like me to cover more advanced data driving approaches like reading the data from JSON file. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.